treasure and fans, your pal Big D back here again with, this is essentially my top 10 movies of 2021, along with a few honorable mentions. I try to do this video every year where I talk about what, the movies that came out last year, whether it came direct to DVD or it came direct to a streaming service or it went to theaters. If it was new last year, it went on this list. I kind of opened it up. I used to just do theatrical titles, but with the way things have been, theaters have been closed a bit here and there. I kind of open it up now to if it's released on a streaming channel, but it's brand new, or if it's released, if it goes direct to DVD, but it's really good, I'll put it on there. There's a couple honorable mentions that are on there about that, or if it went to theaters, I'll put it on there. So this is my top 10 list. Now I know some of the movies are going to be on there. You guys are going to be like, why? I liked it. This list is not comprised of what movies awe-inspired me or what movies were like just these epic movies. This list is movies that I went and I watched. I really enjoyed it a lot. I ended up watching it more than once, and I really got something out of it. I really got, whether it be fun or maybe think or whatever, I got something out of the movie that I didn't anticipate. So that's what these movies are on this list. There's no order to these movies whatsoever. It's just, I'm just going to read them off to you and then talk about some honorable mentions. I'll probably talk about the honorable mentions first before I get in my actual list. And I'll just kind of go through why I like this movie or whatever like that. Also be on the lookout. I'm still working on it though, because I'm having a little bit of trouble with it. I want to do a top 10 physical media releases for 2021. So my top 10 movies that came out the physical media that I really, really enjoyed, that I thought had good video presentations, good audio presentations, good special features. I'm working on that one still. I need another week on that one though, because there's quite a bit that came out that I still haven't watched. I need to watch so far. I'm also going to put a caveat on this. Spider-Man, no way. The new Spider-Man movie, is not on this list. I did not see that from the time of me recording this. I have not seen it yet, so that's not on there. I'm sure it probably would be, because I'm sure it's on a lot of other people's lists. But I have not seen that, so that will not be on this list. But all right, with all that said, let's go ahead and start off here. I want to start with some honorable mentions first before I get into the actual list. So some of my honorable mentions last year, I liked Suicide Squad. I thought it was a fun movie. For what I got out of it, I really, really enjoyed. I watched it. I remember when it came up on HBO Max. I think we watched it 3 times that weekend. And I actually went to the theater to see this one. So it was one of the rare occasions. I think I only went to the theater like 5 times last year. So this is one of the rare occasions where I actually went to the theater to go see it. I really enjoyed it. Matter of fact, what we did was my wife and I went and saw it in theaters. We came home and then watched it again that night on HBO Max. So I really liked it. I thought it was fun. I know people ripped it apart. I don't care. For me, it was extremely entertaining. So that was an honorable mention. Also, Willy's Wonderland, which would be one of those movies that was made direct for home video, never had a theatrical release. I really liked that movie last year. That was a lot of fun. The fact that Nicolas Cage does not have 1 ounce of dialogue, not one even letter of dialogue throughout the whole movie, I thought was ingenious. I thought it was a lot of fun. I really, really enjoyed the movie. We also have Gunpowder Milkshake, which went direct to Netflix. I really enjoyed that movie too. I thought it was a lot of fun. I thought the actors and actors in it were great. It was just a really fun movie. Also, No Time to Die, another one. This may have actually been on my top 10, but it would have been number 11. I really did like this. I like the ending to the movie. I think it was a good ending. I think it's a different ending than they've done for any other James Bond movie. I don't want to ruin it. Even though it's out now, you could have seen it. I don't want to ruin it for you, but I thought it was neat. This is the first time they did this. So I really like that aspect. And the video and audio presentation on the Blu-ray, that will definitely probably one of the movies that'll be in my top 10 actual physical media releases for this year. It was really good. It looked amazing. So, but that is an honorable mention for favorite movie of the year. Also, a couple other ones. Godzilla vs. King Kong was another one I really enjoyed last year. It was in my top 10, but then it got knocked out. Let's see. I really did enjoy the movie. I thought audio-wise, probably the best audio presentation of any movie that came out last year. And you can debate me until the cows come home, but you put that on a really good system and you turn that sucker up a little bit, it is amazing. The sound is incredible in that movie. So don't get me wrong, the visuals are stunning too, but the sound is where it's really at in that movie, especially here Godzilla going, just the boom, boom. Kind of like from the first Jurassic Park movie when they're sitting there in the trucks and you see the T-Rex is coming out, you just boom, and you see the water shaking. Very much like that. You really got a big sense. Or the AT-ATs walking in Empire Strikes Back. Boom, boom. I love that stuff. So that would have been another honorable mention. Also, 2 more honorable mentions. Snake Eyes. Okay, everybody says, I liked it. I did not see it in theaters. I waited until it came out on video. I liked it. I've been watching G.I. Joe since I had, okay, this is how much I'm going to date myself. I had the original G.I. Joe dolls from the 70s, okay? This is before Snake Eyes and those other guys. It's when it came with a doll with a green jacket on and stuff like that. You had this real big orange vehicle and stuff like that. I've been a G.I. Joe fan since before G.I. Joe's other iteration that came out in the 80s. So for me, it wasn't that hard to go, okay, so they changed Snake Eyes' origin a little bit. Whatever, as long as it's an entertaining movie, and I found it extremely entertaining. I did. I thought some of the martial arts, the choreography were really good. So I can see why people had some issues, and there were a couple times I had a few issues with it, but overall, I did find it a really fun movie. And the last one I want to mention, and this is probably going to give me some more, actually two more I want to mention. Resident Evil, yes, everybody said it was a terrible movie. I liked it again. I thought it was fun. It was very much more true to and I saw this one in the theaters. It was very much more true to the game than the Mila Jovovich movies, which are kind of an offshoot. They use the same characters, but it's a lot different. This is very more true to the game. I really liked it. Robbie Amell was really good in there. I was glad to see him. I'm a big fan of his. And his cousin, obviously, is Stephen Amell, who's in Arrow and stuff like that. But he's also, obviously, he was in The Flash. Robbie Amell was in The Flash, stuff like that. But I thought it was a fun movie. It's a bummer that it tanked in theaters, so we'll never get a sequel to it. But it was a fun movie for what it was. It was a great popcorn flick. When I saw it in the theater was pretty packed, and not one person walked out saying that sucked. Everybody was like, it was fun. So that's what it was. It was fun. And the last one, and I'm going to get crap for this one too, for my honorable mentions, is going to be, where is it? The Tomorrow War. I liked it. I thought it was neat. I liked the concept of having to go to the past. This is direct to video. This was direct to Netflix, I think it was, wasn't it? So the people from the future came back to the past to grab certain people to help fight a war in the future, but the people that were being brought from the past into the future were ones that wouldn't be alive then anyways. So I thought it was really neat. I just thought it was a really cool concept. The creatures looked really awesome. There were some parts of the movie you're kind of like, okay, I could have figured that out a lot easier than you guys did. But I think overall entertaining. It was a very entertaining movie. So with that being said, I want to give you my top 10 movies of last year. Now, again, none of these are in order. I don't want to put them in order. At the end, though, I will tell you what my top movie was for the year, though. But otherwise, this is just a generic list. So, the first one I talk about is Jungle Cruise. Saw this in theaters, and then again, saw it again at home a little bit later on. I thought this was a fun movie. This is very much a cross between, like, Pirates of the Caribbean and some of those other adventure movies, a little bit of Indiana Jones thrown in, a little bit of that, I just found it really fun. I love the quote, "Frank owes me money." Matter of fact, the other day, we watched it again the other day, and I just died every time that stupid bird says that. But it's just a really fun movie. Yeah, there's some issues with it here and there, but there's a lot of laughter in it. There's a lot of fun. There's a lot of good little scenes here and there. I found it really enjoyable, a lot of fun. I really, really enjoyed it. The next one would be Shang Chi. I think that's the only Marvel movie I had on my actual top 10 list. Black Widow, I felt that I enjoyed the movie. My biggest problem was I think they kind of muted Black Widow a little bit. It took forever to finally get a Black Widow movie, and then they put the Black Widow movie out. And I felt, because they'd already killed the character off in the previous movie, that I felt like they kind of just did this just to try to please fans, but they kind of muted her a lot, and I felt that it was a jumping point for another character and not her, and it should have been focused on her because the movie was called Black Widow. So, but that's why I didn't end up on my list. But Shang-Chi, on the other hand, man, I went into it with a certain expectation. I was completely blown away. I love this movie. It is now one of my favorite Marvel movies of all time. I really liked it. I was not expecting to like it that much, but man, it was so good. I just really got into it. I really, really enjoyed it. Had a great visuals to it. I love the story. I thought the story was going to be very generic, but it wasn't. There was a lot of kind of twists and turns, little things that happened here and there. I really, really enjoyed it. It was awesome. This person you think is going to be the bad guy, not really so much a bad guy. He's just, he's been corrupted a bit, and I just really enjoyed it. I really liked it. I thought everybody did really well in the movie, and I'm really looking forward to a sequel to it. So definitely like that movie a lot. The next movie, and this was direct to Netflix. I'm going to get a lot of flack for this one. I know I'm going to get flack for this one. Was Army of the Dead. Zack Snyder's Army of the Dead. Now, the first thing you say is, oh, it was terrible, it was stupid, this, that, and no, I thought it was hilariously and fun. I really liked it. I took it for what it was, a popcorn flick with zombies. And that's exactly what I got out of it. That's exactly what I love about it. I know that they took the one character out and they added Tig Notaro in, which I had no problem with. I love Tig Notaro. She's great. She's on Star Trek Discovery. So I love her. I think she's absolutely hilarious. Dave Bautista did a really good job. I just found this movie really fun. The safe guy, the guy that cracked the safe. I love the fact they actually put out a prequel with him in it, which I actually liked that one too. That was a pretty good movie last year as well. The prequel to Army of the Dead. Just a fun movie. Very predictable.
Sorry, could you...
Very predictable. Sorry, my watch. Very predictable. Very, I don't know, run of the mill, but I still found it really cool. I thought they did a really good job with Vegas, the way they made it look, and it was just fun. I mean, it just, all the aspects, that the opening sequence, I think, was genius. Zack Snyder did a really good job by introducing all these characters, so you kind of got to see a little bit of backstory while you're going through the song and the opening credits of the movie, and I really liked that. I thought that was really, really cool, and I thought it was a great movie, and I've watched it 3 times. Next on my list is going to be Quiet Place 2. Worried with this one. The first one I loved. Absolutely loved it. And then when the pandemic happened and all that stuff went out, that was a movie that got delayed. So when it did finally come out, I was really worried it wasn't going to be up to snuff. I think it was better than the first one. I really liked it. I like how the movie started off, where you kind of saw how it all happened, how it started. And then we flash forward to right after the events that just happened in the first movie, and you've seen the family just lost their father, but managed to destroy one of these creatures. And now they're moving on and trying to figure out for what they're going to figure out next, so they can't stay there where they're at anymore. I loved it. I was really into it. That was another movie where I watched it, and I watched it, and I watched it again that night. I didn't go into the theater to see it, but I did watch it, and then later on that night I had to watch it again. I really, really liked it. It was just amazing. I wish they would do a third one. They probably won't. John Krasinski, I think, did an amazing job of directing both movies. So I hope there will be another one. Again, I don't think so, but that definitely was one that I really, really liked last year. Next, and this is another one that was direct to Netflix. I'm lumping these into all 3. It was a 3-part movie. I don't think it's fair to put each one of them on there, but it's the Fear Streets trilogy. I was blown away by it. I liked the first one a lot. The second one I loved, and the third one was pretty good. I think the third one was pretty good, but the second one was just the whole camp thing. But those are 3 really good movies, really great. I love the fact how Netflix did it, was they released 1 movie each week for 3 weeks, which I thought was really cool. So we got together with our friends. We watched the first one. We got together with our friends a week later to watch the second one. We got together with our friends again for the third one. That was great. I loved it. It was kind of like an event for 3 weeks. I was really ingenious how they did that. I love the fact that the cast used in the first 2 movies all end up in the third movie. So the cast kind of changes throughout all 3 movies. It was just a lot of fun. It was kind of a real big throwback to 80s and 90s horror, which that's my jam. So I really, really enjoyed those movies. Netflix did an amazing job. I hope they do something like this again in the future. Excuse me, but I had a blast. I thought it was absolutely fun. Definitely well worth it. I actually went on to, there's a site called Stinky Tuna, and they do sell some movies that are on Netflix, and I bought that set because I just had to have it. I wanted to own it. Yeah, it was just that good, so I got it. But I really enjoyed those 3 movies. They were a lot of fun. They were great throwback. I've watched them several times already. Just a lot of fun. Great horror movies. Again, great throwbacks. Next on my list is Candyman. I thought Candyman was an amazing movie. And the reason why I thought was Jordan Peele didn't do a good job directing it. And he got really good actors to be in the movie. But I love the fact he didn't just go to the movies that happened prior. He literally mentioned all the other movies leading up to that and talked about those things and intertwined those movies in there, so it's part of that series. I thought that was an amazing thing. When I remember seeing the trailer for this movie, I remember thinking, oh, so they're just rebooting Candyman. And that's what I thought going into it. I'm like, it's going to be a reboot, but I want to see it because, I mean, Get Out and Us were really, really good. They ranked as some of my favorite movies of those years when they came out. So I had high expectations, and he really delivered. It was really, really good. And again, because they didn't just do it a lot of times when they put out a movie that, movies with characters, horror characters like that. A lot of times they're going to reboot it. That stuff gets lost. They don't even talk about it. I love the fact that it was actually part of it, and it was just a continuing story just several years later. I loved that. The presentation on that disc was really beautiful. The 4K looked really good. The sound was really good. I really like that movie. So Candyman, yeah, he's still up there. Next is Dune. So Dune, I thought was visually breathtaking. That's one that's on the theaters. I did go see the theaters. I wanted to see it on the big scale because I knew that was going to be a movie that once it was on home video, it was going to lose a lot because those movies are very big scale movies. Even I saw the original Dune in theaters. So I knew that was going to be the case of it. I liked it. I was really into it. My wife, I was really worried because it's it's kind of a slower sci-fi than your typical Star Wars, Star Trek, stuff like that. It's a lot slower. There's a lot more backstory, and there's a lot more, it's kind of like, there's a lot more kind of like Game of Thrones, and this, people are doing this over here but doing this over there, and a lot more backstabbing, stuff like that. So I was a little bit worried she might not really be into that stuff, but she really liked it a lot too. I can't wait for this to come out. I'm getting the Steelbook of it. I can't wait to watch it again in home video. But I really, really liked it. I thought it was a really well done movie. Excited they just announced they are doing part 2, so we get the whole story. It just it looked amazing. I mean, some of the best visuals in a movie I saw all last year, barring Kong versus Godzilla. Just breathtaking, just absolutely amazing. So Dune, and let's see, we got 3 more left here. So the next one on my list would be Ghostbusters Afterlife. I did see that one in theaters as well. Saw it not too long ago. Really worried about that one. I love the first one. The second one I like, but not as much as the first one. I don't know. A lot of times it's hard for me, with the exception of like Empire Strikes Back, where I always inevitably like the second one more than the first one. So in this case, kind of like Beverly Hills Cop, I still even though the second one's really good for me, I really like the second one. I still like the first one a little bit more. So same thing in this one, but the third one was so good. The fact that Harold Ramis is still a major character, Egon Spengler is still a major character in that movie, it did my heart good. I was really worried about that. You lose an actor who played a major character in one of those movies, and you're going to do it, because remember, let's not forget, Ghostbusters has been talked about for years about another movie. I mean, even in a couple years ago, they did the all-female version of Ghostbusters, and then everybody thought that's it. That was a nail in the coffin. We'll never see the Ghostbusters movie again. So the fact that they still did this thing, they brought back the rest of the original cast, and they added Paul Rudd, which I love Paul Rudd, and they got a couple of kid actors that did a really good job. The one guy from Stranger Things, and they did really good. I love this movie. I walked out there going, bam, I want to see this again. I really liked it. I thought it was such a throwback to the original 2 Ghostbusters. It had the kind of the quirkiness to it and a little bit of comedy to it, but it also had really good action sequences and really good story to it. And yes, most people are going to say, it's just a rehash of the first movie. Yeah, it's very close to a rehash of the first movie. I don't care. To see to see a movie go on the big screen like this that has been talked about for 30 years? And nothing's happened, and all of a sudden for it to happen and do it in the way they did it, and to get back all the people they did, to me was a home run. The story was really good. I really, really enjoyed it. So, and it brought it full circle. I don't think they'll ever do another Ghostbusters movie. They don't have to, because this kind of closed the door on that whole thing. They could do another one. They could do another offshoot, but of this overall story arc, they could close that now and know they did a good job. So I really like Ghostbusters Afterlife. And the last 2 on my list first one is Halloween Kills. Yes, I saw it in theaters as well, and then I came right home and watched it on Peacock. I am biased on this one. Yes, I am biased. I know a lot of people tore it apart, said it wasn't that great. I really liked it. I thought they upped their game in that movie. I was a little bit worried because I know they'd said in some of the publicity stuff that like Jamie Lee Curtis wasn't in as much, and she's not the major character in the movie. But I still really liked it. I think that the additional characters they brought in more characters from like the original movie, and a couple people played characters from the what was really great was they got back like 2 of the actors who were playing kids in the original. They brought them back to this movie as adults, older adults. I thought it was really neat. I know that they brought that one of the people was recast, but I just thought it was a fun movie. I really liked it. There was some brutal death scenes. The death scene with the lady dressed as a nurse, when she got out of the car, the door gets kicked, the gun goes and blows. It was just, I remember seeing that in the theater. I was like, oh. My wife had to tell me, shut up. Because I didn't see that coming. That death I did not see. I saw a lot of this coming. I did not see that. I knew she was going to die. I didn't think she was going to die that way. So I really enjoyed it. I like the ending of the movie where you think that he's been beat down, and then, I don't want to ruin it, but a couple things happen at the end. You're like, all right, where's this going to go? And my understanding is because the last movie, Halloween, the last Halloween movie comes out this October, and apparently it takes place like 4 years after the events of the last 2 movies. So be curious to see where those characters are now 4 years later because of what happened at the end of the last movie. I really, really liked it. Yes, I'm biased. Halloween is my favorite horror franchise of all time. There's no if, and, or but about it. I love the Halloween movies. I've got so many copies of every Halloween movie you wouldn't even imagine. So it's just great that this story is still going. I am super excited about the last one in the series. But that was on my list of one of my favorite movies last year. And the last movie I want to talk about, and this was my favorite movie of last year out of all the movies I watched and everything I just listed to you guys. This was my number one. If I had to put them in a list, this would have been my number one, and that is Zack Snyder's Justice League. You know, say what you want about a lot of things. The biggest reason why this movie is my favorite movie of the year is, don't get me wrong, the visual presentation, when you watch, you buy the 4K, buy the 4K. Trust me, buy the 4K. It will blow your socks off. The picture, the sound, damn, it's good. I mean, I guarantee you, I've looked at some people's lists, some big audiophile and videophile lists this year of top movies, and Justice League has popped up on a lot of people's lists just for the presentation itself. So this movie knocked my socks up. But what makes it my number one movie of last year over everything else is the movie shouldn't exist. It shouldn't exist. This is a movie that started getting filmed by one director. That director left. They brought in another director who then cut some of this stuff and got rid of some of those scenes and refilmed other scenes for it. They put it out to theaters. Justice League, here you go. Joss Whedon's Justice League, you know. They put it out, and that was it. But everybody knew there was additional footage. There's a lot of footage because before that Justice League came out, before the Joss Whedon one came out, Zack Snyder leaked pictures of Superman in the black and silver Superman suit, and they'd released a few other things that we didn't get to see, and everybody knew that footage was there, and Zack Snyder said, oh yeah, I got all this footage over here, so we all knew it. So for the last, 3-4 years, everybody's been pushing for the Zack, give me the Snyder Cut, I want the Snyder Cut, I want the Snyder Cut, I want the Snyder Cut. And Warner Bros. Had to bow down to the fans and actually bring Zack Snyder back, give him a bunch of money to film a bunch of more scenes that he was supposed to finish off, give him a ton of money to finish the movie off, to release it. You don't see that happening. That is like Star Trek stuff, where Star Trek got canceled, not going to be around anymore. Lucille Ball goes, I think it's a good show. We're going to bring it back. Let them do another pilot and see what happens with the second pilot. And boom, we get Star Trek. It doesn't happen a lot in Hollywood where they take something that's like, nope, they're done with it, move on from it, we're not going to go back to it, never address it again. But because fans are like writing in and screaming and yelling on the internet, and well, back in Star Trek days, it would have been letter writing campaigns. But the fans go out so much upswell. Actually, Star Trek was more about that. It wasn't about that. But the reason why we have a third season of Star Trek because all the fan upswell from fans who were like, no, you can't cut this series out. The only reason why there's Star Trek season 3 of the original series is because fans demanded it and they had to bow to the fans. Same thing with this. I remember I even tweeted out, I signed petitions saying, release the Snyder Cut, release the Snyder Cut. I always wanted to see the Snyder Cut. So the fact when they announced they were going to do this Snyder Cut, I remember being completely blown away. And then when it released, it was 4 hours of pure joy, in my opinion. I loved it from beginning to end. People were concerned it was too long. It was not too long at all. It was everything I wanted from the Whedon one that we didn't get. It was a much darker, a much grittier. We got to see Superman in his black suit. We got to see all this stuff that we've been wanting to see for a long time. It was a much better movie. It made more sense. He added in Darkseid on the big screen for the first time. Are you freaking kidding me? You know, this is the biggest menace, you know, other than Doomsday to Superman. So, you know, to see that character come in, they redesigned Steppenwolf and made him look a lot more menacing. They just did a lot more stuff with the visual effects, and they cut out a lot of the cheesiness that we did throwing in there. And they added a lot more to like the Cyborg, and the movie flowed so much better. It was such a wonderful movie. This is the movie that I wanted originally that we didn't get. So to finally get that movie, and to get it because of fans like you guys and myself that wrote in and signed petitions that were like, listen, we want this movie. We'll guarantee we're going to watch it. Guarantee we're going to buy it. And for Warner Brothers to have to bow down and do it was absolutely amazing. Considering right now, all you do is hear all this hype online and keep hearing that they're gonna erase the Snyderverse when the Flash movie comes out, which I don't think it's gonna happen at all. I think that it's gonna continue to add on to the Snyderverse because you can't forget we do have another Wonder Woman movie coming out, which is part of the Snyderverse. We have another Aquaman movie coming out, and where would that put Black Adam, which comes out this year as well? Because he's supposed to go eventually up against Superman. So, I'm really super excited about that. It was so much fun. It was a great year, I felt, for DC last year with just that one alone. I know they didn't have much else that came out last year, but that was such a major home run. And it was a major accomplishment for fans. It just goes to show that fans can get stuff done and can pressure the studios. We just have to rally together to do it. And that's the best example. And I will use Justice League as an example for many, many years to come. It's like I use Star Trek, using Star Trek and how we got a third season of that show for many, many years. Because you know, fans do count, and we as fans, we can dictate to these studios. The studios dictate to us a lot, but if we really put our heads together, we really get a good campaign going, you can't beat the fans. We rule. So super excited about that. It was my favorite movie of last year. Yes, again, I know some people on here going to say, you're biased. You love Superman. Look at you just talked about that, not too long ago. You're right. But even with that being said, I still, even if I wasn't a major Superman fan, this was a great movie. My wife loved it. My wife's not a Superman fan. She's a Wonder Woman fan. Well, she is a little bit biased in there, but I mean, other people I know saw it and they all loved it. Just a fun movie with a lot of good action, a good story, and just really well done. And it fits better into the new DC universe. It now flows with the Superman and Steel movies. It now flows with I gotta think here, Wonder Woman and the Suicide Squad and some of these other ones that have come out. Even it really fits in even to it feels more like it's part of the Christopher Nolan Batman series because it's dark and gritty like that, so it makes it all kind of fit a lot better than you had all these really dark, like ominous movies. Look at Batman vs Superman; it's all this like dark, like this is bad, angst going on, and then you throw in Justice League, which is like Barney on crack. It was. Don't get me wrong. Some of the stuff in Joss Whedon's Justice League I did enjoy a bit, but nowhere near what Zack Snyder did. I wanted dark and gritty, and that's what I got. I did not want Basically, what Joss Whedon did is he took he took what he took from Marvel and kind of tried to shove it into the DC, and it doesn't work. It doesn't work. Marvel's very happy-go-lucky, very bright, very all the movies are very bright, very visual, very just there's always a good ending to them for the most part. They're just happy-go-lucky things. They got little funny things here, little funny things there, stuff like that. Zack Snyder goes, it's all dark and gloomy and stuff like that. Every once in a while, it's a small little joke, but it's mostly very story-driven and very, very kind of more like how life is. Life's not all a bunch of roses, life's tough. So I think, at least I feel like the Zack Snyder verse is a little more reflective of what we may see in everyday life versus a Marvel where it very is happy-go-lucky. I mean, the end of the world happens in Marvel, and everybody's kind of like, hey, look at us. So, don't get me wrong, I love Marvel movies, I do. I have a tendency to lean more towards DC, and that being because growing up, DC was a lot more influential on my life than Marvel was. So, not to say I grew up, my favorite superhero growing up in Marvel was Spider-Man, and as I got a little bit older, it became Captain America. But I always went back to DC because I felt that DC, I always just felt they had better stories. I mean, there was, and maybe because also too, there was a lot more in my life growing up. It was a lot more DC I was inundated with than Marvel, I guess. But still, I think that the Justice League was by far best movie last year. So that is it for my video. It's a little bit long, almost a half an hour. I do apologize for that. But I think things need to be said about these movies. Leave me some comments down below. I'm sure you guys all got your own views and how you guys feel about my thoughts. I mean, my movie picks for that and stuff like that for the month. So, for last year. So, leave me some comments down below. Be somewhat kind. Don't be overly, because I mean, again, these are what I enjoyed. Not necessarily everybody else in the world enjoyed, but I really enjoyed these. These are what got me through a really, really rough year last year. I had probably the roughest year I've ever had. Not my entire life, but in a really long time. So these were the movies that got me through the year that helped me stand on my feet still. So that is it. Thank you so much. Please comment down below, like, subscribe, the bell. Be on the lookout for more videos coming out here really soon. Again, thank you so much for watching. I really, truly appreciate it. Please be safe out there and be careful. Always keep hunting because you never know what you're going to find. And as always, live long and prosper. Bye.